Hello fellow Whovians, and welcome to the very first episode where I'm going to review Doctor Who Season 8. We're going to start by talking about Deep Breath, the very first episode of... Now, before I jump into the episode, I want to talk a little bit about how I stumbled upon Doctor Who and how I became obsessed with the show. So it all started when I started seeing commercials for Doctor Who on channels like Sci-Fi, and all I knew at the time was that David Tennant was on the show, and I absolutely loved David Tennant. I just didn't know where to watch the show. I had no idea what channel it was on, and I had no idea what time it was on, and I seemed to keep missing it all the time. So I didn't really get into Doctor Who until about 3 years ago, about the time when Matt Smith came on. He actually had already made season 5 with Amy and Rory. So I just kept seeing these crazy commercials of David Tennant running into this blue box, and I had no idea what the show was about, but it looked so cool. And like I said, I just kept missing it. I had no idea what it was on until my friend Johnny introduced me to it a few years ago, and she showed me, I believe it was the episode Dalek, and all I remember seeing was this crazy little robot looking thing trying to float up the stairs, and we were just standing there laughing hysterically because it was so funny. And immediately when I came home that I was like, I've got to watch the show, I just have to sit down and watch it. So I devoured all the available seasons in pretty much a week or two. I don't remember how long it was, but it was pretty quick. I became obsessed right away, and ever since then it's been a part of my life. So of course, as you know, over the years there have been a lot of companions, and I have a few of my favorites, so I really want to talk about that before I delve into this brand new episode. So as far as my favorite Doctor goes, David Tennant and Matt Smith are pretty much on top of the chart. I love the two of them. David Tennant was brilliant, and Matt Smith, I mean, I had already fallen in love so much with David Tennant when I started watching his seasons, and then I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm gonna like this new guy. He's so young, I don't think he's gonna be like the Doctor. He's just not gonna fit the role. And then he was amazing. He was just spot on from episode 1, and I loved his entire tenure. I really wish that he hadn't left, but at the same time, I love Peter Capaldi, and I liked him way before Doctor Who. I've liked him for years and years now. I think he's a brilliant actor, and I think he's going to be an amazing Doctor, which he already has proven that he is. As far as my favorite companions, Amy, Rory, and River are pretty much top of the list. I loved that entire dynamic. I thought it was perfect because the Doctor had created this little family, and they felt like they just knew each other so well. I think Amy, in my opinion, knew the Doctor the best out of all the companions of the new Doctor Who reboot, because she was just his best friend. She had a crush on him in the beginning, and then she kind of let that go, which was really wonderful, and then she just became his best friend, and she knew him inside and out. I love that one line from the Doctor's wife when Rory's like, he's a Time Lord, he'll be fine, and Amy turns and she's just like, that's just what he's called, that doesn't mean he actually knows what he's doing. It was perfect because I feel like Amy just really got him. She just got who the Doctor was. She saw him exactly for who he is, as the madman traveling through time and space and fixing things as he goes along, not really knowing what the hell he's doing, but doing it anyway. As far as my favorite companion of all time, it's gotta be Martha Jones. I adore her. I think she's the perfect companion. She was a doctor, so she could match wits with the Doctor pretty much all the time. She was clever and kind, and she always thought of others before herself. Every single episode, whenever something horrific happened and she was in mortal danger, her first reaction was always to help others in need, to make sure that others were safe, make sure that others weren't hurt, to fix their wounds, and then she thought of herself. I think she's so selfless and amazing, and she's incredibly strong. I mean, she took a year to walk the entire earth and basically survived on her own with nothing, with just the clothes on her back. She's very capable, and to mention the fact that she's absolutely the most beautiful companion, in my opinion. Even when she's covered in goo, she looks gorgeous. I love her. I absolutely love the dynamic between the Doctor and Donna. It's one of my favorites because they were like brother and sister. They bickered bickered all the time, they yelled at each other, they snapped at each other, and people constantly thought that they were related, that they were their husband and wife or brother and sister. I thought it was brilliant. And not to mention that Donna was she was clever and kind, incredibly thoughtful, and she never thought that she was very important. She thought that she was just this regular girl from Chiswick and a temp that would never amount to anything, and the doctor made her believe in herself. And I think even though that she forgot all of her adventures with him, she retained something inside of herself, and she eventually, I think, will achieve wonderful things because of what he's given her. Special mentions as far as favorite companions definitely goes to Craig Owens. I think he's so funny and just so charming and hilarious and just kind and thoughtful. Again, one of the best companions that I think the Doctor ever had. And of course, he's the father of what I think will be a future companion in maybe a few years. Stormageddon, aka the cutest baby ever. I think that he's definitely going to be a future companion. At least I hope he is, because I think this kid's going to be brilliant. As far as the dynamic between Clara and the Doctor, I never liked it. I never liked Clara from the very start. When we see Clara in the Asylum of the Daleks, I thought that she was brilliant. She was very clever, very capable, and she basically saved the Doctor, Amy, and Rory, and made all the Daleks forget that the Doctor ever existed, which is amazing. And, you know, she was already turned into a Dalek, and she didn't let that evil, angry nature control her. I thought that was brilliant, and I thought, oh, great, because basically, here's what happens with Clara. She's presented as this like everyday regular girl, and suddenly she's like the key to everything and the meaning of the universe. And I'm like, can we stop making companions like this big, meaningful key to everything? Because that's getting really old. Before, the Doctor had these regular everyday women who just proved to be fantastic by being thrown into dangerous circumstances. And now here's Clara, who is basically being led by the Doctor through every single episode, him holding her by the hand pretty much every step of the way, explaining to her what's going on without her ever having to do anything. I mean, seriously though, let's review what Clara has actually done in each episode. So let's review the Snowman episode real fast. What exactly did she do in that episode? Oh, that's right, she died. In the Bells of St. John, I'll give her props. She did hack through a laptop and figure out where the evil corporation was hiding so that they could release everybody's souls from the internet back into their bodies. So she did that. The Rings of Akaten, she provided a little bit of action, finally. Cold War was definitely one of those episodes where Clara didn't do anything. She utterly failed at talking to Grand Marshal Skaldek. I mean, she couldn't do that silly little thing all by herself. She had to like consult the Doctor over a headpiece. She couldn't even like say a few sentences to convince this guy that they were on his side. I mean, come on, Clara. And then she ran around the whole episode asking the Doctor if she was doing a good job. Doctor, am I being a good girl, Doctor? Am I doing a good job, Doctor? Oh, shut up, Clara. In Hyde, she basically did nothing but yell at the TARDIS, and then the TARDIS did the rest of the work, so she didn't even do anything in that episode either. She just was scared the whole episode. In Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, let's think about what she actually did in that episode. Oh, that's right, she got a burn mark on her hand that said, press the big red button, and that's all she basically provided to the Doctor in that episode. Oh, that's right, she also died again. In the Crimson Horror, I don't remember Clara doing anything else but pointing out to the Doctor that they were going to use the chimney to export the poison and basically poison everybody in the world. That's all she really did. Pointed him out to the chimney. In Nightmare in Silver, she kind of commanded an army, and by kind of, I mean kind of. Did a pretty good job, but I feel like a lot of her lines are just written so terribly that every time she expresses something, I'm just like, I'm bored. I'm bored. I'm bored, Clara. I am bored with you. Then in the name of the Doctor, she finally does something big and jumps through the Doctor's grave or timeline and basically splits herself into many versions of herself and saves the Doctor from the Great Intelligence. Okay, good job, Clara. You did something there. By the way, we still have zero explanation of what actually happened after the ending of that episode. How did the Doctor and Clara actually get out from his memories and his timeline? No idea. In The Day of the Doctor, which was one of the most amazing episodes of all time, she, did finally she did a couple things. She did rescue the doctors from themselves. She basically just burst into the room that wasn't even locked in the first place. But hey, I give her props for figuring out the time vortex manipulator and how to get to the doctor, so that was pretty clever. When the 11th Doctor finally regenerated, I thought, great, here's an opportunity for her to be faced with a completely new man that she doesn't recognize, that she doesn't feel all buddy-buddy with, that she's not completely crushing on and in love with, and I was right. The dynamic between Clara and the Doctor has definitely improved when Peter Capaldi has stepped on the scene. Another thing about Clara that was never really explained was how the heck she was teaching at the school. I mean, last time I checked, when prior episodes happened, we don't really find out if she's going to school for teaching credentials or if she wants to be a teacher. All we know about Clara was that she lost her mom and she wants to travel all over the world and blah 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 blah. So when this happened, I thought to myself, okay, she's a teacher, that's great, but how the heck did she get the job? So did the Doctor fake the credentials via psychic paper? Did he maybe call in a favor to Ian Chesterton, who is apparently still alive? I'm probably looking too much into this, aren't I? So with this new dynamic of Clara and the 12th Doctor, I think she's basically thrown into a brand new circumstance that she was never experienced before. She was following this man around pretty much like a puppy dog, and so with the 11th Doctor, I feel like Clara relied way too much on him. Almost in every episode, I feel like he was either holding her hand or giving her a hug, soothing her and calming her down. Overall, the 11th Doctor was very friendly and sweet and huggy, and then he regenerates and Clara is thrown into this whole new circumstance with a Doctor who doesn't even know how to fly the TARDIS, doesn't recognize her or himself, and she has no idea what to do suddenly, which I think is great because we finally see some of Clara's personality traits come out in Deep Breath. I feel like for the first time ever, Clara had to actually think for herself and think on her feet quickly, because the TARDIS was crashing, the Doctor had regenerated, she didn't know what to do, and suddenly we're back with Madame Vastra and Jenny and Strax, and she has to explain to them exactly what happened. Not to mention that the Doctor seemed to have lost his memory and has no idea what's going on, and she has to now suddenly be very patient and calm and figure out what the heck to do. I absolutely adore Madame Vastra and Jenny in this episode. They were fantastic, and not to mention that they really brought something different to this episode, because Clara was kind of freaking out and trying to figure out what to do. I love the moment where Claire asks Jenny what she would do if the woman she liked had changed her face, and Jenny explains to her that she doesn't like her wife, she loves her, and as far as being different, well, she's a lizard. So that was a very great way of explaining to Clara, hey, just because he changed his face, it doesn't mean that he's different in any way. He is still the man that you claim to love, so why can't you just love him for exactly who he is? I like that she followed the clues. I like that she went to the Doctor instead of him coming to her for the first time. I thought the scene in the restaurant was amazing because they almost had a Sherlock and Watson dynamic going on, almost. Just kind of bickering back and forth. I think Peter Capaldi is an absolute genius choice for the Doctor, because he not only brings the surliness and the anger and the deep-seating annoyance for humanity that he carries with him sometimes, but he's also funny and genuinely just likable in every way. And I thought that it was great how they incorporated the fact that the 11th Doctor was still kind of leaving, in the process of leaving, while the 12th Doctor was settling into himself, with that great line when the Doctor jumps from the roof and falls through the tree, and he's hanging upside down, and he sees the cabbie with the horse, and he says, "Sorry, I'm gonna have to relieve you of your pet." And the cabbie's like, "What?" And he's like, "No, I was talking to the horse." And I thought that was such an 11th Doctor line to say, that was very much still a Matt Smith line, and they were still kind of like guiding us along and saying, see, that Doctor, he's still in there somewhere. One of the most brilliant lines in this episode that Peter Capaldi says it's when he's looking at his own face in the mirror, and he says, "It's covered in lines, but I didn't do the frowning. Who frowned me this face?" I thought that was so great. What a great line. The entire episode, I feel like the Doctor was confused as to why he chose this particular face, and he just kept remembering things from the past and thinking, I've seen this before, I've seen this all somewhere before, which was, I think, was a great throwback to the Madame de Pompadour episode, because I love that episode. It's one of my favorites of all time. The Girl in the Fireplace episode is great. I thought that the robots in that episode were so cool looking, so I'm glad that they brought back robots that were very similar, because man, those things look terrifying and cool, and you can't go wrong with terrifying and cool. Love that Peter Capaldi kept his Scottish accent. I think that's great. I think that deep down inside, Doctor is doing like an ode to Amy and remembering how cross and annoyed with everything she was at all times, and he's like, yes, I want to be just like Amy, I miss her, I'm gonna be Scottish this time around. Another great line from the episode was when Clara is trying to get the sonic screwdriver with her foot, and the Doctor just says, it's times like this when I miss Amy, and I was right there with you, Doctor, I was right there with you. Love the scene when Clara was egging on the robot, trying to get him to either surrender or not murder her, basically. I thought that that was a great scene because Clara was finally thinking on her feet and doing something for herself. The Doctor was nowhere in sight to her knowledge. One of the sweetest moments in the episode was at the end when Clara got a phone call from the 11th Doctor, who had been calling her from the past, from the TARDIS phone. I thought that was great because she hadn't quite yet let go of him, and she was still having reservations about the 12th Doctor, even though she was figuring out that yes, this is the same man. But that was a great nudge to her, kind of to say, hey, it's still me. That man right there that you're with, that's still me. I'm somewhere in there. You have to help me. You have to be there for me. Because I didn't really change that much. It's just my face is different. Matt Smith was such a fantastic Doctor. I think that anytime he wants to come back on the show and do a cameo, I'm all for it. Come back, anytime. At the end of the episode, we were introduced to a brand new character called Missy. I really want to speculate as to who you guys think that she is, because I have a few theories of my own. Now, a lot of people are saying that maybe she's River or Clara from the future, or maybe she's the another version of the TARDIS. I think there's no way that she can be a character that was a good character. I don't think that she's either Clara, River, or the TARDIS, because this chick appears to be totally evil. And last time I checked, River, the TARDIS, and Clara weren't evil. There's a small possibility that maybe since Clara jumped into the Doctor's timeline and splinched herself into all these different versions, maybe this is just a version of Clara that has gone off the deep end. I think my theory is dead on. I think that this woman is the Master. And here are a few reasons why I think she's the Master. First of all, Master, Mistress, Missy, it just makes sense. She's clearly evil and got some very not so good intentions for the Doctor. She keeps referring to him as her boyfriend, and yeah, that's kind of something that maybe River or the TARDIS would do, but actually I think River would refer to him as her husband because he is one. And I just don't think the TARDIS would be referring to the Doctor as her boyfriend necessarily. But I can totally see, especially the John Sim Master, calling the Doctor his boyfriend. Because, let's face it, they have known each other for so long, and they have traveled all over the universe together and pretty much butted heads and battled each other the whole time. They've kind of got this like love-hate relationship. They don't want each other to die, but they kind of want to destroy each other regardless. It's just very bizarre. So I totally think that Missy is the Master, and we're going to discover that she's the new reincarnation of the Master somewhere along the line. Promised Land that the robot was trying to get to the entire episode may actually be like either a pocket universe or maybe Gallifrey. Not quite sure yet, but we'll see. Anyway, there are a lot of different theories floating around, and I really want to hear some of yours. Please tell me who you think Missy is, and what do you think is going to happen in the next few episodes? Do you think that, we already know that there's going to be Daleks, there's going to be Cybermen, and definitely a few new characters. I can't wait to be introduced to the new companion by Danny Pink, that's gonna be exciting. Maybe Claire will finally get a boyfriend and shut the hell up about the Doctor. So what we know about the Doctor so far is that he's Scottish, kind of cross, thinks his eyebrows are attack eyebrows, hates karaoke and mimes, and isn't opposed to bad smells necessarily. So far, I am loving this run with Peter Capaldi. I can't wait till the next episode on Saturday, and I can't wait to do another review and tell you guys what I think. Hopefully my setup will improve a little bit over time, but for right now, I just can't wait to discuss with other Who fans what you guys think about the episode, and what your theories are, and what you think is going to happen during season 8. If you have any comments, please leave them for me below. Also, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm gonna leave that info in the description also. And yeah, let's discuss the next few episodes and what's gonna happen. This is the end of my very first Doctor Who review episode. I'm gonna say goodbye for now, and I will see you guys next time. You wanna say goodbye, Dalek? Exterminate! There will be no exterminating while I'm here.